So one of my lovely commenters pointed out, very factually, that in my previous video discussing where to find a 4-socket white shield, or rather just a white Monarch shield that you can add 4 sockets to, I had recommended killing some super unique bosses incorrectly. The problem with that is that bosses tend to drop magic items, rare items, and unique items, and not really much in the way of nice white items. Instead, what you're probably going to want to do is find a nice area with a high monster density. Actually, the Bloody Foothills is pretty good for this in and of itself. Most of the monsters here have about a comparable chance to drop just the base Monarch type shield. And there's a lot of them, and they're generally pretty squishy. They're not too hard to take down. So the Bloody Foothills is actually a good choice. In my video, I actually suggested taking out Dak Farron. I suggested taking out Schenk, the Overseer, and I suggested taking out Eldritch, the Rectifier. And actually, this is not a bad run, even still, because all of these creatures come with their own minions pack, which are of the correct type to drop the Monarch shield, and you actually get a nice chance of finding some other good items too. Whilst you're taking out the bosses, you're also taking out a bunch of the minions. So this is actually not a bad run, even though my logic was flawed in suggesting to particularly farm those super unique bosses for a white Monarch shield. Actually, what you're going to want to be doing is knocking down your magic find as much as you can, because you don't want to find a magic item if you're trying to find a Monarch, so you don't want to increase the increased chance for magic items to drop. Instead, you just want to farm normal monsters. Wherever you can find normal monsters of low level, squishy hit points, and high density. So yeah, the Bloody Foothills is a good option here. You could also do something like Ancient Tunnels. That way when you're farming for your Monarch shield, you're also farming for potentially any other great endgame item. The problem with Ancient Tunnels is it can be a little bit hard to find. You can spend a minute or two kind of searching around for it, so I don't necessarily love the Ancient Tunnels. And also, if you're not geared up pretty well, Ancient Tunnels can be dangerous. Not overly so, but if you're playing hardcore, I have lost 1 or 2 hardcore characters to Ancient Tunnels myself. What I would actually recommend is the pit. The pit's nice because you can find it quite easily. You just head to the outer cloister, and then well, if you have teleport, you teleport down to the monastery gates, and then you basically just follow the road. The road has 2 forks. One fork will lead you off the map. Then in that case, it was this one, and the other fork will lead you to the pit. And so you just follow the road, and you'll always find the pit. And the pit has monsters with equal to the best chance of dropping Monarch shield, and not really too dangerous, generally speaking. This is probably maybe the easiest of the high-level endgame areas, and so you should be pretty good in dealing with this as long as you're able to get past cold immunities and lightning immunities, because monsters will have those particular immunities in the pit. So that's a good run with lots of weak, low hit point creatures that can drop. The Chaos Sanctuary, also another good spot where monsters can drop Monarch shield base, and it also has a nice high monster density. It can be a little bit harder, again, depending on your class, depending on your build, depending on your gear. Monsters are not quite as squishy, but there are a lot of them, and if you can clear it quickly, this is a good spot as well. The Flayer Jungle is also a good spot, which has a lot of weak creatures with only a little, not necessarily weak in terms that they're not dangerous, but weak in terms of having a low amount of hit points, so you can clear them pretty quick. They of course can be pretty dangerous, but as long as you're able to get through cold immunity, and you have something that can get through cold immunity, you can clear out a lot of Flayers really quickly, and they have a good chance to drop the Monarch shield. Generally speaking, any Hell difficulty Act 2 or higher area with a high monster density is going to be a good option for farming a plain white Monarch shield. Most monsters have a very comparable drop rate, roughly 1 in 6,000 to 1 in 9,000 depending on the monster, but they're not too far off in difference in terms of likelihood of dropping the Monarch base. So I hope this updated video has been helpful, and yeah, sorry about the confusion in the last one. I guess the last video would apply more to the finding of Storm Shield. Yeah, okay, so I hope this video has been retroactively helpful. Thanks everybody for the corrections. And if you're fairly new to Diablo, the reason that we're not looking for a 4 open socket Monarch shield for the Spirit Runeword is just because it's very hard to find one. It's much better to just find the white shield and then use the Larzik socket quest to get 4 open sockets. It'll always get 4 open sockets if you use the socket quest reward in your Monarch white shield standard item base. Okay, alright, see you guys in the next video.